He was a guy who could have been me. Ahmad had recently been retrenched. He was doing whatever jobs he could do to really support his family. And one of those jobs that he was doing at the time was being a food delivery rider. So on the day of the incident, he was riding along the track on the way to make a delivery. This man had crossed Ahmad's path and unfortunately, the man fractured his nose, and that eventually opened up into Ahmad being charged with the offence of causing grievous hurt by a negligent act. That carries with it a penalty of about a maximum of 2 years, as well as a $5,000 fine, or a combination of both. At the time when I received this case, there were quite a few PMD accidents happening around Singapore. So I had probably not correctly had formed the judgment that maybe this was just an errant PMD rider and seemed like a very run-of-the-mill case. After the first meeting with him, I realized that was not the case. He seemed like a hardworking guy, just down on his luck a little bit. I felt like I could relate to him because we were same age and it could have been a very easy situation to find yourself in, especially completely by accident. And it made me want to help him just navigate that situation. So the first thing we tried to do was to get the charge withdrawn and to get him a warning instead. So on the day of the incident, he was going at a reasonable speed. This elderly gentleman crossed his path. He tried to sound his horn to warn, but he could not slow down in time. He was actually able to fling his e-scooter in a different direction, but he couldn't stop his body from colliding with this man. Immediately after the incident, Ahmad had helped this victim and gave him water, called the ambulance. He even exchanged his particulars with this person. There was no follow-up after that from the victim, except just to say that he was doing all right. On top of that, he offered to pay half of the victim's medical expenses, which was quite difficult for Ahmad given his particular financial circumstances. The victim was also discharged on the same day, which led us to think, even without a medical report, that the injuries that he sustained were not particularly serious. So we made a representation to the Attorney General's chambers with that premise, with that goal in mind. Unfortunately, our representations were rejected, but what came out of that was that they had offered to reduce the charge to one of just causing hurt by a negligent act. So in the end, Ahmad received a fine of $2,000. For Ahmad, that would still been quite difficult for him to pay. And on top of that, it would also go on his criminal record. And that would have been difficult for him to maintain or to find a government job, which he had already found at that point in time. I honestly believe that he could have appealed it. I thought that he could have pushed for a community-based sentence on appeal. And this was really because he was already someone who volunteered in the community at a mosque. He also was never going to commit such an offence again, given that he no longer rode an e-scooter and no longer did food deliveries. However, Ahmad, on the other hand, after having been through this ordeal, and to him it was a stressful ordeal, he just wanted to plead guilty and get it over and done with, move on with his life. He just wanted this nightmare to be over. Yeah, this case stood out to me in particular because Ahmad seemed like an everyday guy. It seemed that if I was in a situation like that, I might need someone to just help me along. Although the result that we got was not the best result, it was something better than what he could have gotten without us. Even as simple or straightforward as it might have seemed, the legal process is intimidating for people who've never committed an offence before, who've never been through it. They do need someone to help them, walk with them through the journey, just so that they understand what's going on and how they are being treated in the system, just so that they get fair representation and that they're treated fairly.